7 days outside. We see how that goes. This is a Judas reading. It's the same thing I say to you before. The closer you come to death, the closer death comes to you. I'm not going to talk about being afraid of it all, you know. That's up to you. What kind of fear you suffer for the life you've lived and the beliefs you've chosen, that's up to you to fear death. But the closer you come to death, the closer death comes to you. And this is a Judas reading. I got the little fat little notebook, whatever the hell it is. That time I took a motorcycle ride across the country, and I saw things that really do not amount to much outside of reality. Every time you think about how close you've been to being ripped into a situation that you cannot get out of, sometimes we get away with it. You go, what? You're too stupid to recognize it. And so you walk away. And the people that are standing around are going, he's either a genius or he's stupid. Nobody can be that fucking stupid. But here it is, page 10. I took a motorcycle ride across the country once from San Jose to Michigan. Twice, but this is like the first time. It's like when we talk about great wars and you say World War I or World War II. Neither of them were ever great, but you had to change the name of it to fucking make a delineation of some sort. And so here it is. Oh, I put on my glasses. I'm going to read. This is going to be about 20 minutes. This is a Judas reading. Saturday, 13 July 96, until 10, when I slept. Evidently, it was 10 p.m. when I slept, because I was trying to keep a journal of this trip. And the stories that come after, it means I survived. Spoiler alert. I slept at 10. Tonight, I stopped in a little town called Carlin, Nevada, to get gas. The sun was setting, so I had been watching for trees along the highway so I could set up my hammock and camp for the night. I had a hammock. I needed a couple of trees to hang it between. There weren't any goddamn trees out there. I'm sure it's going to talk about it in this, but I want to get it out of the way right away. I'm looking for fucking trees. I'm just a guy that's on a motorcycle traveling across the country. Oh, too bad for the 70s when you could just cut somebody's arms off and fucking throw them in a culvert. Too bad for the 90s when a guy realized you might want to cut his arms off, so you kept an eye on him. Be careful. Never get in a car alone if you've got two other people and they say, "Oh, I'll only take you." That happened to me once, but it was in a place in England, and I survived. Still haven't heard the rest of the story, have we? The sun was setting, so I had been watching for trees along the highway so I could set up my hammock and camp for the night. This was a stroke of luck, since there are virtually no trees in Nevada. Bad luck. The trees were in yards. You'd see a tree in a yard somewhere. That was page 10 on that trip. And there's page 11. There it is. It's going to get weird because this fat little notebook that I write things in, I write in a way that nobody will ever understand what the fuck I'm talking about. It's up to me to share it with you. Soon after I got off my bike, an eager-looking fellow that seemed to be just hanging around approached and asked the time. I told him. He thanked me and walked back over by the phone. A goddamn payphone. I asked the attendant about any other trees. She said no, and there were no campgrounds. I joked with a trucker regarding my need to find a place to camp. I suppose this wacko overheard, and I know it's turning over to page 12 or something. We've got all these things. This wacko overheard me talking. I got it. It's halfway down the page. It's got a 12 above it. I kept myself in line back then. After I paid my gas, I walked out of the station toward my bike and had some water spray next to me on the ground. I turned around, and the wacko was on the side of the station with a hose filling jugs. He said, "Sorry," and laughed. "Oh, you're so funny. I made a mistake. I'm supposed to trust you as you do these weird little things. The only way I could possibly trust you is if I'd had weird little things happening to me my entire life, and I thought you were just like me." Act weird. Never trust somebody that acts weird and asks you to act like them. Morning. Soon as my wife shows, do some trout fishing in the bite. Oh, I have to, I realize I write things upside down at times, so I'm going to continue from the bottom of the page. See, sometimes if you write things upside down and backwards, they make sense. It's like something that creates a totally different poem. But if you really want to get the point across, you got to read it the way you're written. A little. I said, "That's cool," and kept on to my bike. I was getting my shit together to go, and he said, I used to have a bike like that. I asked him, what happened to it if it died, jokingly. He said, yeah, but he owns a Harley now. And the thing is, oh boy, now you know. I was taking a rice burner across the country, but what better way to do it? Because everybody I saw along the way, they had their Harleys on trailers. They only ride them in town because that's the way I was looking at it. I'm like, you fucking people, you can't make it across the country on this motorcycle because it's got too many and shit falling apart constantly. And, you know, I was the only one with bugs on me. There it goes. I didn't mean to talk bad about a Harley Davidson, but that's the truth, the way I see it. Anybody that gives anybody crap about taking a rice burner across the country, at least I can fucking make it. It was a 1980 motorcycle. Oh, that was a 1985, and it was like 96. So a couple different old bikes I took across the states. I asked him what happened to it if it died, jokingly. He said, yeah, but he owns a Harley now. I pushed my bike away from the pump and hit the pisser. When I came out, he said he and his buddy were going to camp out, do some trout fishing in the morning. Soon as my wife shows up in about 20 minutes, he added. His wife was coming in 20 minutes. He sounded like he was inviting me along. I had no intention of talking to this guy anywhere outside of this parking lot, and I wasn't even sure I was safe there. But I was taking the bait. He already said it was a park/campground, and I asked if it had trees. Probably a bit too eagerly. Oh yeah, he said. It was down by the river. How do you get there? He gave some complicated directions, waited a second, and told me to just get my things together and come around back. I could just follow them out when they showed up. The idiot that I am, I figured, you see how easy it is to slip into a serial killer moment? These people have been practicing for years, and you've been trying your whole life to be a decent person. Don't do that. They'll fuck you up. Oh, there's probably, yeah, something straight out of the Bible right there. The idiot that I am, I figured I could follow them out and strike out on my own. As I came around back, he was talking to a woman on the CB. I approached it, and he quickly said, look, it's not something I want to talk about on the radio. I respected his privacy and walked back over to my bike. Leaning against it, I knew that I should have stayed over there. Invasion of privacy, my ass. What I might have heard her saying may have been relevant to me. That's my business. He finished talking and came walking over, double-fisted, one can sporting a foamy head. Want a beer? I pleasantly declined this time, making a mental note to thank my dad. He threw the empty Coors Light into the dumpster and turned it around. Drank from the fresh one. Then, without knowing, he landed on a conversation with no details of how he came to end up in Carlin, Nevada from Alabama. Something about his girlfriend's boyfriend shooting him 14 times. My bland reaction to that was, "Good shot. You're not dead." He looked at me searching. "I've been shot a total of 31 times. I was in the Corps," as he was compelled to unbutton his short-sleeved shirt and pulled the bullet hole scar on the side of his beer gut out between his fingers, as if he thought I might want to touch it. Might not was the correct answer. I was not concerned with the details either, so he moved on. "Yeah, we usually have a pretty good time camping." He still didn't understand I wasn't camping with them. I was trying to figure out how I could escape them. Once out there, he must have sensed it. Turn the book around. "Don't worry," he said. "Get too close, we ain't gonna play, what is that, Defiant on ya?" "Ha ha ha. Deliverance," I said, backing up, trying to get him out of my space bubble. He followed and made some joke about me, long hair, that he thought was funny. He had a small ponytail. Then he felt he should mention his wife was a retired whore from the house right up around the corner. Good-looking lady. He retired her. About then, his CB came to life, and he went to the truck's cab to answer. I thought the large Confederate flag slung in the window of the topper suited the old Ford well as I walked back round front of the station to talk to the clerk. "You sure there aren't any campgrounds around here? By the river? Down a dirt road?" I asked her. She told me no, and gave me what seemed a warning glance. I put everything together. And made a decision. I saw the motel next to the bar as I was heading toward the on-ramp. It was getting dark. I was ready to give up on camping. I came right back out, got on my bike, pulling out of the parking lot. Sonny was driving by. He honked and pulled into the gas station. I pulled onto the highway and saw what looked like a clump of trees 2 to 3 miles east on 80, in the middle of a field, a shadow unto itself, and there was an off-ramp. As I got off from the exit ramp, I turned right onto the service road heading back the direction I'd come, toward the trees. About a half-mile down, a dirt road turned left off the service road, going exactly toward the trees. Right away, I had to drive up a river and the railroad tracks, which were elevated and ran adjacent to the freeway, alongside the freeway. Elevated and ran alongside the freeway. There was a period at the end of it. I'm used to having to read to another page. I read the sign bearing the words, "Private crossover, not intended for private use." Look, I drew a picture of it. Public crossover, private, not intended for public use. I hesitated and continued. I needed sleep. It was pretty well dark now, everything coated in dark grays and blacks, so that the only colors to be seen were provided by my headlight, green and brown. The dirt in the trail was quickly being overcome by the weeds as the dirt road devolved into a two-track. Weeds growing high in the center and to either side of me. As the field was unfarmed, I came upon a field mouse, and it tried to escape me, following the light I cast. Although it ran quickly, I puttered along slowly. I still encroached. After only a short race, the mouse knew it couldn't win and scampered off to the right and into the weeds, which were the field. I would not have hit him. I walked down into a cross. Weeds were growing over the ruts that were road now, until there was no dirt left and the path petered out and completely disappeared by the time I reached the dried out riverbed, the arroyo. With my flashlight, I could guess that it had been months since the trench had carried any water. The mud had dried out, cracked, and turned up like scales. I walked down it and across the 10-foot swath to go check out what I had previously believed to be a clump of trees 35 to 40 yards in front of me, shining the ground in front of me back and forth for smokes and snakes. I felt very conspicuous. I was on private property. I walked. I thought that if there were people out there that guarded their property, like my father, I could possibly be shot. Started. I have to stop this. This actually was done so that people understand. Oh, siete. People understand that if they start going riding around in the middle of nowhere, they can disappear. You haven't seen the thing that almost made me disappear yet. You only dealt with some knuckle fucker in a gas station that's spraying things around going, hey, wanna go camping? You know, that's just a regular serial killer, stupid bastard. There's more to it than that. If you can't beat somebody that can trick you at a gas station, that's your own fault. But you cannot be expected to beat something that lives in a tree in Carlin, Nevada.